I
Do the swim and I can do the hike.
I just
And the
did
run.
30
Are you
k's
ready?
this morning now, man. All right.
I want to make a video, make a YouTube channel. We went to the Red Desert, so
Oh yeah,
so
lekker.
yeah.
Cool. Okay,
So
okay.
let's if you
All
don't
right.
guys don't mind.
So let's start right from the start. Welcome to Beaver Creek. Beaver Creek is the most southern coffee farm in the world.
Oh.
Because coffee is not a tropical thing, but we are subtropical here.
Yeah.
And when I say farm, commercial farm, there are guys down in Port St. John's that grow few trees for themselves just for personal use, but no farm yet. We are trying to establish more farms with the government, which is very difficult, but don't put that on your YouTube.
We didn't hear that.
Old cupcake might come for me. You never know, yeah. But yes, because coffee, there's a shortage of coffee in the world right now, and in the modern world, because there was so much rain and so on. Your biggest producer of coffee in the world is Brazil, and in the Sao Paulo area, they produce between 28 and 33% of all the coffee annually.
Sure.
And they're very, very big. Africa is traditionally small because we've got far too many kings and chiefs. It is not, I'm not criticized, it's just an observation.
Yeah.
Because the king gives you a small little patch of land and you can never own it and build your house either, you know. But modern Africa is becoming more entrepreneurial and so on. So Africa is also changing at a very quick pace. Young people are driving it. All right, so coffee was found in Ethiopia in the 5th century. Ethiopia, it's an African thing, very proud of it.
5th century. Wow.
Yep. And it was found by a goat herder, he even had a name called Kaldi. And Kaldi would sit there and play his flute all day while the goats would go and graze in the forest. And it was a crude wooden or bamboo flute. It's just before I was born, so I wasn't there.
5th century. Yeah. So you know your coffee by now.
Yeah. And he would practice on the flute all day, and at night he had a little tune that he would play. Not that one. Boka, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, and the goats knew the tune, and they knew it was time to come home. And one night when he played the come home tune, they didn't. So he started looking for them, you know, in the forest around there, and eventually he heard them, and came around the corner, and there they were, playing and headbutting and dancing. What was they doing? And every now they'd run to a tree, because coffee grows on a tree. And they would go and eat the red thing on the tree, berry, because that's the other thing. Coffee is a fruit.
Yeah.
And that's how they found it. And you'd see them, they eat this thing and then they dance a little bit more and so on. So he thought, okay, that's how they found their food in those days. If a goat or a buck would eat it, it doesn't freck, you know, fall over. They know it was safe. So he thought, let me try this lot out. Well, he started eating the stuff. Chew. And it was great. After half an hour, he started playing his flute like old Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. Played a few AC/DC numbers.
Caffeine in his body.
Yeah. Sweet Caroline and the Rape. Anyway, so he thought afterwards, let me take some back to my father. You know, so he took some back in his pocket. He gave it to his father. His father ate it and said, it's not a fruit like you would eat in go to a, what do you call it, a fruit lovers market or something you buy there. But it's sweet. It's a fruit. The skin is quite tasty. And so he said, that's very nice. But when he heard about the goats dancing and the flute playing, he said, wag 'n bietjie. We're a bit superstitious, ons is bietjie, jy weet, by gelowig. Let's go and ask the Sangoma, medicine man, witch doctor, whatever they had in those days. Went to him and said, what do we do? Taste this. He ate it and said, oh, it's a possible food source. But when he heard about the goats and the flute playing, he said, they must, and he spat out, because you got 2 C's. And let me give you the 2 C's first. Like, I mean, because you're here, you might as well. It's not Christmas, but I'll give you a gift. Because only because you come from Chatsworth, eh?
Only because you come from Chatsworth.
You get the special gift. You can also
Willem from Chatsworth.
Willem. No, Willem is from North Coast. He's there between old Zuma's boys.
Are you up there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Old Zuma. They're in Kandla.
It's like a peanut.
Yeah, of course, yes. It does look like a nut. Now, if you take those, and I'll show you now, I'll give you 2 as well there, Johan. You get your 2. Now, if you take those 2 seeds, I'm just going to take 2 nice ones, well, any sort of ones, but that are, and if you, okay, here we go. Take that, put in your pocket, whatever. You put in your pocket, you can go and plant them and plant your own coffee. But if you put the 2 seeds together like that, flat parts. That is how, like that. That's how it's found inside the
Inside
fruit
the
trees.
fruit,
Okay. Every one has got 2. Sometimes I find 3, and once have I found 4.
Oh,
Now that's like
wow.
no, that's like having triplets and quadruplets, you know.
Ah.
So it's still usable then? You still
Yeah,
can
yes,
go,
yes,
oh,
yes.
okay,
No,
okay.
if we could make every one of them being 4 Cs, wow.
Well, yeah, it will
You
be.
get double production, yeah,
That's right, yeah.
productivity, but production. But anyway, so and they got mucilage in it, you know, like slimy, like you know, and you can suck on it. And swat, not these. And he spat it out. He said, "Wag 'n bietjie." When he heard about the ghost and everything, he said, "There must be evil spirits in this lot." He says, "I think we must burn out the evil
Oh,
spirits."
wow.
Oh, okay, now I'm getting it.
Now, what did he do?
Roasted it.
What
Yeah.
makes you happy when you walk past a coffee shop?
Oh, the smell.
The smell.
It's got spiritual value already. It
Yeah,
has.
yeah,
really
yeah,
like it.
absolutely, yeah.
It's got, it just lifts you up. It makes you wow. Eh? And anyway, he smelt it and he got it out. He said, "Ooh, yeah. There must be more evil spirits. I think we must boil it out in boiling water."
There you go.
And then they found the coffee. And the Ethiopians found if they grind it in the stones, it gives you more flavor, goes further.
Sure.
First slavers in the world were the Arabs, you know, slave drivers. And if you know where Arabia is, this is a geography lesson, okay? This is me, I'm Africa. And down the bottom is Slaapstad or Skarpstad. What's it? Something like that. Yeah. And then this is Africa, and that's the Indian Ocean there, and that's the Atlantic Ocean. And up here, you get Egypt, then you get Sudan, then you get Eritrea, Ethiopia, and then you get Somalia. And if you know Arabia, Yemen comes down with a point like that over Africa there.
Yeah.
And that point is the closest to Africa.
Yeah.
Across. And you could see it from there, and that's where Ethiopia is. And they had discovered the Indonesian islands, and they wanted to develop them. And they said, let's go and get us some of those oaks like that. They looked at they're harder workers than us. So they went over there, hit them with a whip and said, "Hey, yay, klim op my skip." And the Ethiopian said, "Yes, wag 'n bietjie, China." Took his bag with him because he was hooked on it, you know, like I was on my first castle.
Yeah.
So they took this and they went onto the ship, and the first island they developed was Java.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Oh, there we go.
okay.
Maka Java makes a bit of sense, penny dropping. Eh? And the guards would stand at night and get this aroma and said, "No, what's that smell?" And the Ethiopians said, "This is our drink. We drink this. It's just a drink. They didn't call it anything." And the Ethiopians said, "Can it brew?" I said, "Have it, check." They brew. They got the kick. I said, "Waar kry jy
Us
hierdie
in the
goed?"
morning.
Yeah.
I'm awake.
Yeah.
Waar kry jy hierdie goed? And they said, "No, over there." So they went all the way back there. And they got all the seeds and everything, and they started planting it all over Indonesia. And many centuries later, they started trading with the Greeks and the Italians, because they'd gone after the Dutch and the Porras, because they were a little bit bang. You weet, mag eens make sure the Dutch and the Porras is safe to go around. And they went even further, and they found tea in Ceylon and India, brought it back and drink in their cafes. The cafes where they meet people, you weet. Waar you grappa and ouzo drink and wine, because they're big wine countries. You weet, you know you can drink someone pretty, you know that. And handsome.
You said that yesterday.
I did, yeah.
Yes. And, you see, I saw a couple standing at the bar, their picture, and on the back of the t-shirt, the oak says on his back of his, he says, "Drink until you want me." And on her t-shirt it says, "I can't drink that much." Sure.
That's cute. Yeah, that's good.
Anyway, so now they brought it back to the cafes. Now they brought this one back, and they called it the Arabica drink. That's where the word Arabica comes from. It doesn't come from Arabia. There's nothing. Well, it doesn't grow.
Yeah.
And then, of course, coffee started spreading all over the world. It now grows even at the foothills of Mount Everest. It doesn't grow where there's frost, and frost is always on the flats.
Yeah.
Because the hills there, it's very warm down the bottom of Mount
okay.
Everest. Very hot, in fact.
Yeah.
And so it grows all over. In fact, it grows in every country in Africa. Every country. Now, people say Sahara, but Sahara is not a country. It's
No,
part of a country.
Part of the country, yeah.
And even grows in Botswana, Okavango area, the Kasane area. They've got coffee farms. Even Namibia.
Sure.
Up there at the top there, the Ruakana area, there's some coffee farms. Every country except Lesotho.
It's too cold.
It's too high up.
No, it's not. It's because Lesotho is not really a country. It's just a suburb of Bloemfontein.
That's a brilliant.
Suburb
Yeah.
of Bloemfontein.
I tell you, the Sothos don't like it so much when I say that. And I tease them. They go, hey. I'm just teasing. It's a lovely country, beautiful country. No, it is too cold. It's a mountain kingdom.
Yeah.
Always snows there.
Yeah, and it's cold, very cold. You can plant it, even in Joe. Where do you come from, Johan?
I'm originally from Mpumalanga,
And where do you live now?
Ibadin.
Oh, so you guys. Well, it grows everything from here up past Ibadin, Pangeni, Shawi, lots of beautiful coffee up there. Then it will grow there in Mpumalanga, White River,
Yeah.
Hazy View, Sabi, up there in Polokwane, Tsanin, Palaboa, areas like that.
Yeah.
So it grows all around here. And yeah, so coffee, but coffee grows everywhere, like in it grows mostly against the hills, like Guatemala grows against the hills. Sao Paulo is a hilly area. It likes
Yeah.
a bit of a mist belt kind of thing. So, and then you'd have to plant to see where it grows. You know, down in Cape Town it's winter rains there. This is coffee more like summer rains kind of thing. So it's not going to grow down there. You can maybe grow it. You can grow it in a pot. Anyway, even in Maseru, you can grow it in a pot on your stoep where the frost can't hit it to get a bit of sunshine and so on. I've grown a couple of farms down here. I've grown them on two in a pot, and they grow and they give you coffee. They don't grow too high.
Yeah.
All right, in the pot. Otherwise, they can grow. They can grow as high as these mango trees.
Yeah.
That's how they grow them in Sao Paulo.
But now this seed, can you plant this seed and it will grow or not?
The seed you got. The reason they call it a bean,
Yeah.
because they've been calling it a bean for as long as we've been around.
Been around, yeah.
Because it germinates the same way as a bean that you've done at school in the cotton wool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason we do it at school is just to see how where you know.
Where it comes out, yeah.
Yeah. We need to know where it comes out, because unlike a bean or a millie, you can just put it in the ground.
Yeah.
And
Look
say,
for
for
the
example,
light,
the root comes out like that, it will turn over this way, né? And it doesn't matter, because a millie or a bean only lives for 6 months, 3 to 6 months, and every year you have to plant it again. It's an annual thing, yeah. So, whereas this is a tree that lives for 25 to 30 years.
Sure.
And if you plant it and the root comes out the wrong way, automatically it will go down this way. And then you sit with this J underground, and in that U part is where the water will collect after a while. You get phytophthora, which is root rot. En dan word hy net so groot en dan vrek hy.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we need to find out germinated to see, because you can't see which sides they're going to come out, that side and that side. Later on I'll show you to you where it does come on, because this is called the parchment, the dry area. Now if I open this up, I'll show you something there. See that brittle skin? That's the parchment. They wrote the scriptures on parchment. Not on this, it's a bit small, but you won't get inning the beninging. You won't get it in there, you see.
Get in, but when
Inning, yeah, maybe the eye. And then this seed has got a fine skin on it. See that fine skin? If I scratch it off, you get an olivey color thing inside there. It's a little bit, not too loose, but there's your fine skin. Yeah, there's yours is beautiful already. Look at hers. Look at that. And that's your green bean. Okay, now if you look on this one side of that, there's nothing. No, there's nothing.
Yeah.
But if I turn it around, can you see there the embryo's about to come out?
Oh,
That's
okay.
your root. But now you don't know it.
Yeah.
And you need that on to be able to germinate it, because all the trace elements and the vitamins and everything is like you and your mom's tummy. You needed that snoesigheidjie, you know, that comfort zone with everything around it before it can germinate. You can germinate that in perfect conditions in a laboratory where you control the humidity and the temperature and infrareds and all kinds of things. But it's a pain in the neck, so this is the way it germinates.
Okay.
See? All right.
Are we going to try it?
Yes, I'll give you some things and a pamphlet how to grow your own coffee
okay.
at home.
Yeah, that was lovely, yeah.
Yes, why not? And little kids, help them project
Yes,
at school.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, so now it grows, and because it's a fruit, it will it grows. We germinate it, plant it out, and then eventually it normally takes about 4.5 years. Because we're research and development farmers, only 2.5 years later we've already got coffee, and so we're a leader in the world when it comes to research and development, because we look holistically at coffee, everything from the germination to the planting out to the harvesting, to the production, to the everything. And in fact, if Leslie decides she's going to open up a coffee shop in Aberdeen, she would come and talk to us first, and then we would supply not only with all the things required to start a coffee shop, we'd also supply with all the equipment. Then we'd make a special, give you a blend, Leslie's speciality coffee, so the people from Chatsworth come down to Aberdeen to drink your coffee because it's so lekker.
Yeah.
Like you find your coffee, I'm just teeth, but that kind of thing. And then if your machines break, we'd fix it. We would train your baristas because they are doing it. They've just done a barista class now this morning, which is halfway
I've done my barista course, yeah.
Yeah.
Some years ago, yeah.
Yeah. And this is what they want because they're interested. They love the coffee kind of situation. And then we'd go and visit you. If your machine breaks, we'd fix it. Everything with coffee. We have changed the face of coffee, in fact, because coffee in the modern age is only 30 years old. Because although they found it centuries ago, we drank and produced and made coffee the same way. And in fact, then in the 1920s, they discovered chicory in America. French discovered it. They discovered they could eat the root of this tree if they roasted it on an open flame. And one day this root caught fire, and they chucked it in a bowl and chucked water into douse the flames. And then they saw the water was dark brown, put milk, it looks like coffee. Huge factory going to sell it to the world. Nobody wanted to drink, it's not coffee. Thing that saved their backside was the Second World War, because now you didn't have time to brew your coffee. You know, you must brew your coffee.
Yeah.
Brew jy, daai moer, jy moet die moerkoffie lekker maak. And you couldn't sit there in the trenches to brew your coffee and say to the German guy, "Hey Hans, wagen Sie, you can't shoot now, son. Busy brewing my coffee here, it's coffee time." You had to drink that thing quickly, that plastic coffee, and go and fight. And they sold it not only to the Allied troops, which is of course the English and the French and the Russians, they also sold it to the Germans, Italians and the Japanese, because America was not at war for 2 years until Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
They were still trading with them. So the whole world drank it. And it was cheap as chips. It was a fraction of the cost of coffee, because all your money had to go into your war effort. So the whole world drank it, 98% of the world. And these guys in Brazil in those days, they grew coffee for volume and not the quality. Now they grow volume and quality.
Mm.
And they went to the government and said, "Hey, you told us to plant coffee, we can't sell it. Everyone's drinking this plastic stuff." And the government said, "Don't worry. It's a passing phase. Bring your coffee in that state, that parchment state, you know." And they stacked it in heaps next to their railway lines. And they ran their trains, steam trains, on coffee instead of coal, because Brazil's not a coal producing country. They had to import their coal by ship. They haven't got coal mines there. And the money they saved on importing coal, they paid the coffee farmers to stay alive.
Sure.
Because that skin is brittle and burns very quickly. And that green bean inside is very high in acid and oil. Burns slowly. And for many years they ran it. And they also, Ed said, the owner, he said, "Yeah, no, he's sure that they must have saved money on printing timetables. Didn't have to print timetables. Oh,
Years ago, train.
so yeah, the 12 o'clock is on time." Or something like that. It's been a wonderful era. Anyway, there's a story about coffee. And then of course,